over to heartlandsignal.com, because that's where we have our wonderful newsroom, our digital newsroom that does so much to keep people up to speed. We got some great pieces over there right now talking about how, unfortunately, law enforcement in Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin, unfortunately, are expanding some of their associations. I'm not going to call them partnerships, but associations with ICE, and some other great articles that are there that you guys can check out. Obviously, we're going to play a clip in a little bit from something from Heartland Signal that you guys will appreciate hearing. But yeah, so make your way over there. As we always say, I want you to grab as much information as you can and share it with the people that you know. Today's guests include Matt Cooper from the Washington Monthly. Looking forward to chatting with Matt about some of the current events that are taking place. Kurt Mullett will be with us, Hoosier Blue 63 in the 7 o'clock hour. And Jen Golbeck, who's a professor, computer scientist. Jen's been with us before and just talked about her experiences as a all-inclusive sort of person with regard to her doctor duties or professor duties, her computer science duties, and some work that she did during the invasion by federal troops in Los Angeles. So we'll have a chance to chat with her today in the 7:30 hour. But right now, check this out, progressives.
I'm not going to do it, but I am going to say that he is full of, okay, I'm going to do it. He's full of because here's the thing.
We wanted to ensure that victims of these heinous crimes are completely protected from disclosure, those who don't want their names to be out there. And I'm not sure the discharge does that, and that's part of the problem.
What's your response to that?
I would cuss, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just say he's full of it. Number one.
This is cable. You can cuss.
I'm not going to do it, but I am going to say that he is full of, okay, I'm going to do it. He's full of because here's the thing. Number one, we know that he didn't even bring the House back in because he was trying to avoid us dealing with Epstein. In fact, he would not even swear in a duly elected now new member of Congress, depriving and having to be sued by her state and others because they literally did not have any representation. He violated the Constitution to avoid this. So miss me on pretending that this is about the victims. In addition to that, when we finally released some of the information that we got from the Epstein estate and we had all the victims' names redacted, who was it that was out there saying, oh, and this person is the person that is supposedly mentioned in this section?
The Republicans,
The Republicans did that to the extent that that victim's family had to come out against them for revealing potentially her name. So they're full of it.
They're full of it. And, you know, in case you didn't know, don't recognize, that, of course, was Representative from Texas, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who deserves so much. I mean, you know, she probably doesn't take this on this way. I don't know her, I haven't met her. We're working to have her on the show. But she looks at this as it's her job to be this forceful and to be this strong. And that's what one of the things that I respect about her. And, you know, that's you know, one of the things that so many people forget. That's their job, to press like this. And that's why I'm not all, you know, falling over backwards because of this vote. Clay Higgins, I just saw too, Henry, that. And y'all listen, shout out to Henry. Today's Henry's day, so shout out to Henry. Clay Higgins, the only vote, the one vote. But it's now coming out that he may have, and I've vetted as best I can, some connections to some inappropriate activities with young girls. So the other members of Congress on the Republican side that voted the way that they did don't get a medal. I happened to be fortunate enough yesterday to be on the politics bar with Sean Pierce and Jody Hamilton. And we talked a lot about that. The folks who voted the way in which they did don't get a medal for doing their job. That's just not how we as Democrats we can't roll that way anymore. Like, oh, thank God no, they haven't been working for weeks and blocking, as Representative Crockett said, Ms. Grijalva from getting sworn in. So they don't get a medal for doing their job. We can't give them a extra praise. And by the way, that clip comes from our Heartland Signal digital platform in case you guys want to check it out. I'll send it to you if you want it as well. But that's the truth. We have to stop getting all, glowy-eyed when there's a Republican that steps up and says something, or Republicans vote like they did this week. That's their job. It's also one of the reasons why I am not one of those people that suddenly just falls over with laughter and turns over and shows my belly because Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying the things that sound like the right things. I'm not that person, and I don't want you guys to be either. If you do, I respect that, or I'll accept that, I should say. But for me, my bar is a lot higher, and I'll tell you why. I didn't jump into the lovely cart with Liz Cheney real quickly, and I didn't with Joe Walsh, and I'm unapologetic about it because they voted for things that were harmful to me, the community, the global community that I represent, meaning all of us in the rainbow of who we are. But they each voted for things that were harmful to the African American community in America, and they represented things and people and supported people that were directly harmful to the African American community and the greater community of women, the LGBTQ community. So there's no way I'm going to just say, oh yeah, I didn't do this with Liz Cheney. So I'm sure as heck not going to, and I think Liz is a heck of a lot more sane or more likely to be in our camp than Marjorie Taylor Greene is. And I reeled in myself there. So the point of all this is we can't just give a medal to Republicans for doing the right thing. If Liz Cheney did not, what happened? Suddenly she went, oh, wow, Kamala Harris is the better choice because part of it was self-driven. Donald Trump came after her. She lost her seat. Do y'all remember that? See, this is where I tell people, slow down for a minute. Donald Trump came after Liz Cheney. She lost her seat. She did the right thing, and her life is going to go on, and she's going to do marvelous things, and I'm going to support the good stuff that I believe that she will do. That's how I roll. But she had to go through cross the burning sands with me before I was like, okay, Joe Walsh, same thing. He said I was wrong. It was stupid. What I did was harmful. I can get with that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's got a long road to go because she was actually in some ways more harmful than either of the two of them, and things that she said and did. Now, let's not forget how she, along with her cohort, Lauren Boebert, were disrespectful to President Biden during two, mind you, different addresses to Congress. She's the same person that wore that disgusting hat, if you guys remember, when Trump spoke earlier this year. The list goes on. And so now that she's coming out and saying, well, here's how I feel about these things, and Donald Trump can't, she's making it about herself. And I'm not going to get with that. And I know people say, well, Richard, when people, I'll give you, again, I talk about this with our good friend Rich Logis from Leaving MAGA. There's a longer, Marjorie Taylor Greene hasn't left MAGA. She hasn't made, at least, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, if I missed it, I missed it. But I haven't heard her come out and say, I'm done with MAGA and what it represents. And it's wrong and it's harmful to the country. When she does that or something along those lines, then we can talk a little bit more. And the Republicans vote on this Epstein file situation. They did their job. They don't get a special medal for that. And I'm going to stand 10 toes on that one, because when we bend there in that direction and we get all glory and happy because we have one or two Republicans that do the right thing, we lose ground. And we can't keep doing that. We have to stop right now. This is the line that we draw in the sand. All right, Henry, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
The professor of political science and women's and gender studies at Brooklyn College and the graduate center of the City University of New York and author of Sex Is As Sex Does, Governing Transgender Identity. Yeah, Paisley Curran.
The legislation that they've passed doesn't really speak to any particular problems. Like the legislation that they've passed might be described as like a solution in search of a problem. The legislation covers, school and college participation in sports. And when it comes to like elite sports, that's already governed by the whatever sports associations. They have their own policies and they're working through policies on transgender participation. So it's not necessary for legislatures to weigh in on that. This legislation is really targeting like middle school and high school kids at the non-elite level, and that is where really just part of enrolling transgender people in the culture wars to create problems where none exist.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Great to be with you this morning. Thanks for hanging out and being a part of what we do. As I said, I was on the Politics Bar, which is a show that is hosted by Sean Pierce and Jody Hamilton, and that was a lot of fun to hang out with them last night. So check that out. In addition, I will be hanging out with my man John Fugelsang tomorrow evening on his show, Tell Me Everything, and John and I will talk about a little bit of everything, so that'll be fun. Always good to hang out with him. So check out John's show if you don't already, and we will make sure that we John and I have a lot of fun. So I'll just leave it there. All right. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be joined by William Muck, professor of political science at North Central College, and Spencer Critchley, author of Patriots of Two Nations and the host of Dastardly Cleverness in the Service of Good podcast. That's Live, Local, and Progressive, 2 to 5 here weekdays on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, Nashville recording artist Gwen Levy. And at 6, Patty will be joining with the Up North podcast with Minocqua Brewing Company and contributors Kirk Bangstad, Ben Kamenos, and Amy Thomas, and more. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7, Central, WCPT, AM 820, Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Then tomorrow, we're going to be busy again. Abdul Ed Said, Michigan candidate for U.S. Senate, will be with us. Reverend David Black, First Presbyterian Church of Chicago, along with Michelle Duster, author, educator, and historian. And you know her broadly for her own work, but she's also she serves in the legacy of her great-grandmother, Ida B. Wells. Cindy Munson, Oklahoma State Representative and candidate for Oklahoma Governor. That's going to be cool. And Rick Smith, host of the Rick Smith Show, will be with us as well. So there you go. Busy couple of days for all of us. And make sure you check out the Choose Views featured interviews podcast, full episodes that are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Search for Choose Views or visit our new podcast page at heartlandsignal.com/podcast. One of the things that I've been suggesting to people who grab the podcast is you may have caught the show live, and you may want to catch something else that's in the podcast. That's always a good reason to have it. The other reason is I'm starting to find more and more people that will send me emails from places and parts of the country that I'm like, how they caught the show, and that one of two things: they either caught it on TuneIn, okay, which we're partners with, or someone sent them the podcast or sent them a link to the podcast, from what I understand, or they're subscribing to it. So that's good stuff. Good stuff in the sense that it's allowing us to spread our message. And that's one of the goals that I've had for the show, is to make sure that we're reaching as many people as possible and doing the very best to do that, and with content of information, good information that you guys can share. So there you go. All right, Henry, let's hit him with just a couple quick Choose Views news items on this November 19th, 2025. Paul McCartney is the latest recording artist to join a quiet chorus in AI protests. His last recording features no vocals or instruments. Nearly 3 minutes long, the former Beatles' new track is mostly silent and part of an effort by McCartney and other top musicians to raise awareness about the threat of copyright violations in the age of artificial intelligence. McCartney, who is currently touring North America, recently added the track to the B-side of an LP first released in February that consists entirely of silent recordings created by prominent artists including Kate Bush and Hans Zimmer. Home Depot cuts forecast on the housing slump. A bellwether, meaning Home Depot, company for the economy because of its ties to housing and consumer spending, cut its full-year outlook and missed expectations for the third straight quarter this week. The retailer saw its net income dip and now expects only slightly positive yearly sales growth. Home Depot's fortunes are tied to the housing market, as we know, which has stagnated due to rising interest rates and general belt tightening among consumers who are deferring big home improvement projects. A lack of storms also limited the sale of roofing supplies and generators. Demand is up, turnover down for unglamorous work. More job seekers, and check this out, appear to be going to where the jobs are, including vying for unglamorous roles rather than sending out endless queries and resumes, according to Bloomberg. It notes staffing agencies and employers that offer typically shunned roles, traffic flaggers, prison guards, substitute teachers, recyclables sorters, etc., are seeing big surges in demands. The shift signals some job seeker agitation, as the latest available data shows 26% of out-of-work professionals have been unemployed for 6 months or more, one of the highest levels in the past 10 years. And, you know, all I can say, guys, is that if companies have uncertainty, which creates instability for those firms, and at the lap of these crazy tariffs from the Trump administration, these are the kinds of things that unfortunately are going to be part of our future. So, you know, many folks that didn't try but told that these are the things that were going to happen. So here we are. All right, guys, there you go. A couple of Choose Views news items on this November 19th, 2025. Henry, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. Can you believe that? My goodness. All right. Let's take a quick gander at a few things. Some current events or some things that I just wanted to bring to you guys this morning. Henry and I are moving everything around, in case you're wondering what that noise is. We're redesigning everything. We just decided, let's move this. Okay. And Kurt Mullett and I may probably talk about this a little bit in the 7 o'clock hour. But Trump's numbers have entered the danger zone. This is an article, and Matt Cooper and I may talk about this a little bit as well because it was in the Washington Monthly. Trump's poll numbers just entered the danger zone. For the first time in his second term, Donald Trump's average job approval dropped below 45%. That spells trouble for the 2026 midterms. No matter how you look at it, you know, no matter what they try to say about it, it is clear that those numbers have dropped, and they've been down. They've been going down. They've been trending down for a while, and only 36% of Americans say the country is on the quote right track, down 7 points. 7 points from June. That's a 20. What is that? Almost a 20% drop, something like that. I get my math. I can do the math in my head, but yeah, that's a big number. So why is that important? I think for me, it's important because it says that that the people who have been trying to prop up this administration, this regime, many of them have lost faith, and their best bet to provide excuses, you know, that's out the window. So we'll talk more about that hopefully when Matt's on. Let's see if we can grab a couple of quick calls. Let's go to John real quickly. John, I guess. Good morning, John. Welcome to the show. Let's chat real quickly. We got a little bit of time. Try to give you a quick minute. What's happening?
No. Good morning. I just wanted to say that I'm listening to more of the progressive talkers, such as yourself, and I like the introspection mode that I'm hearing.
Okay.
This country doesn't have enough of that. That's for sure. What it does have is free of the behaviors that are seen in the Epstein saga. These are very United Statesian behaviors taken, albeit to a much more laser heat level. And they are domination, exploitation, and manipulation. None of this introspection. I mean, Trump, he the only time he considers himself is when he poops his pants.
Too funny, John. Thanks for the comments this morning. I will embrace it. You too, man. Stay safe.
Congratulations. Be introspective.
Thank you, man. I like what John says there about. I look in the mirror and go, okay, what's up, Chew? What do you got to work on? What's going on? How and we as a progressive party can do that, and we need to take that to the street. We need to fight. Chins up, shoulders back. Let's see if we can get a couple quick comments from Andre this morning. Hey, Andre, welcome to the show. We got a minute and a half. Go for it.
Okay, then I hit the accelerator. Good morning to you, Mr. Chu. I just want to say very quickly that the way our democracy is now, we have to hold the news media accountable, because I'm concerned about how they report the news. Is it a matter of company policy? Is it a matter of their opinion, how they want to report the news? I say that because the people that Donald Trump is sending Pam Bondi after, they're referring to him as Donald Trump's political enemies, but they not once. I listened to quite a bit of news. Not once have they referred to Jack Smith as a Republican. Mm-hmm. See, that story has gotten lost amongst the media, and it needs to be said that Merrick Garland was a Democrat, but he appointed Jack Smith because he didn't want to show any signs of impropriety. But yet that's getting lost in the move, and to me, they're misleading people to think that his political enemies are all Democrats, but they are not. Yep. Jack Smith is a Republican. Rathenberger is a Republican. Everybody, for the most part, that Donald Trump is winning after have been Republicans just like him. The only odd man out was Letitia James, I believe. But the news media is losing that story, and it's not fair to us. So we got to keep that story alive and let it be known that Jack Smith is a Republican, just like Trump calls himself to be. That's what I want to share with you this morning, Mr. Chu.
Thanks, Andre. Glad you're well. Always good to hear your voice, and I love your introspection and your observation of what's happening. It lands well here, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chu.
Have a great day. Yeah, Andre's right. I mean, Jack Smith is, and the reason that I don't want to say this in the time before we go to break. I'm down with any person that's going to do the job, that's going to speak the truth. And I know that I've been very, very critical of Marjorie Taylor Greene and what's happening recently. And I've got a couple text messages from folks this morning already that are trying to, and I appreciate you, Lois, trying to help me work through and meander through the, where I stand with her. Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying the right things. I'm not saying she's not saying the right things. I'm saying that there's a lot of road she's got to cover to clean up on aisle 7 for some of the harsh things that she said to people. What she's saying now is doing her job. This is what I want you to understand, so I'm clear. What she's saying now is doing her job. What she did before this, epiphany was harming people. So do the job and apologize for the harm. And she harmed a lot of people. She voted in ways like, so you guys know where I stand on that, and we'll probably talk about it again because she's in the news to be talked about. That's the other part of the game, as Mike Nellis was talking about on Monday. She's doing this to be, a name in the news right now. She wants to be the champion when this ship turns upside down. She wants to have already grabbed her lifeboat. So let's not get caught up, y'all. I'm just trying to tell you, don't want us to once again put our favor toward people on the right that have harmed us when we should be praising the people on the left that haven't harmed us. We got to stop doing that other thing of, oh, wow, so-and-so. No. That same commentary that we would give toward Marjorie Taylor Greene right now, we should be complimenting Democrats for the work that they're doing. That's how I see it, and I hope you guys understand. I'm not hating on her. If I met her, I'd probably hug her and say, now get your behind straight and do better work. I probably would, because that's who I am. But at the same time, I'm not going to, overstep sell the good of what she's doing now when there's Democrats that have been doing it all along. So let's praise our own team first before we suddenly jump in bed. I don't mean that literally, politically with Marjorie Taylor Greene. So hope you guys can see that. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR way down in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
John Fugelsang. Listen, y'all, the dude wrote a book called Separation of Church and Hate. What a great title. Tell us a little bit what's happening in that space.
Well, and I'm so grateful to you and all the deeply attractive listeners of WCPT for supporting this book. So I wrote this book years ago about how to use the Bible for believers and atheists, because even if you don't believe in Jesus, if you're debating a right-wing Christian on any of the issues that divide us, Jesus is probably on your side, whether he's a literal figure or not. They don't care about the teachings of Jesus. They don't care about religious freedom. They don't give a damn what God tells you to do in the Bible. They care about conservative Christian power. That's it. Jesus' movement was all about humanity and all about humility. He was not about total right-wing domination of the school board.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the east around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, cloudy skies, a low near 42. Thursday, cloudy, high of 53 degrees. Then on Friday, a slight chance for rain showers here late. Mostly cloudy, high around 53. Saturday, slight chance for rain early, high of 53. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 43.
Thursday, November 27th. Hey, that's Thanksgiving Day. Tune to WCPT from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Sports Cubicle Live Thanksgiving Extravaganza. We're going to be breaking down all the NFL games, touching on the hottest sports stories, discovering what Thanksgiving food is the best, and maybe a special guest or two. And with you. You can always call us at 773-763-9278. The Sports Cubicle Thanksgiving Extravaganza. Thanksgiving will never be the same.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back, and thanks for being with us this morning. I was looking at, I can look at too many emails and texts sometimes, and I got to stay focused on talking to you guys. So there you go. Washington Monthly, man, if you aren't one that reads it or has a subscription to it, or just follow some of the things that they do, they've got really good writers. And we have with us this morning the executive director of the digital platform at the Washington Monthly, and that would be none other than Matt Cooper. Good morning, Matt Cooper, and welcome to Choose Views on WCPT.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. I got you up a little early this morning, but I know you probably...
No, we're good.
You're good. Thanks for being with us, Matt. Good. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My good pleasure.
Man, oh man, you've got one of those backgrounds. I mean, a lot of people don't know some of the, for lack of better words, historical work that you've done going back to, Valerie Plame and the CIA and that whole just crazy time. And, for people that don't remember that name, you've been in this game for a minute, and I want to first give you just a big kudos for some of the great journalism that you've been a part of, some of the great stories that you yourself have written, and then as an editor, the work that you've done to make sure you bring good stuff to us. So thank you so much for that.
Well, it's very kind of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So what's going on with this conversation right now that we're all kind of... I quoted one of the articles that one of your colleagues put out, and that's about the Trump numbers, poll numbers, have kind of entered the danger zone. Piece that you guys had just this week. What's happening there? What are you seeing? What data do you have that gets into that a little bit more?
Well, Well, Trump's poll numbers have been pretty steady. He wasn't very popular, but he wasn't collapsing either. But he's coming down. I think people, there are different theories as to why his popularity is eroding. I mean, part of it's the persistence of inflation. He promised he'd lower prices. Of course, that hasn't happened. I think also the feeling that he's consumed with things that people don't. Instead of being consumed with people's problems and trying to fix them, he's consumed with building a ballroom, getting into fights with people, Jeffrey Epstein, other things, but he doesn't seem as interested in their problems. So I think that perception is really deadly for any president. And I think he's starting to, some of the people who had supported him are jumping ship. Some of the people who have been kind of Trump agnostic are being more, Trump footsie. Maybe voted for him once, but not the other time. Now they're being more anti. So he's definitely feeling some heat here.
Yeah,
and of course the election. The off-year elections were bad for him.
Yeah. What are you hearing, quote unquote, on the ground with how they in the White House responded or reacted to that in that first week or so, or since those elections on the 4th?
Well, I think they were a little freaked out. They tried to put a good face on it. They said, "Oh, these are blue states. Of course, New York's going to elect a Democrat. Because New Jersey and Virginia going to elect Democrat governors." But they were freaked out about the size of those big Democratic margins, especially in places like New Jersey, which had swung pretty far in Trump's direction in 2024 when he ran for president again. He didn't win New Jersey, but he got a lot closer. The margins were much more in his favor than they were for, Mitt Romney or George W. Bush or others. So they're a little freaked out by the elections, and I think they're starting to realize, hey, they got to do something to at least give people a sense that they care about high prices. And of course, they did a big switcheroo on this Jeffrey Epstein thing, releasing the documents because they want to try to, put that to bed. And it's unclear if they'll be able to.
No, I think that there's this. I saw this yesterday, and I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it did pique my curiosity that there are some Republican operatives that are scrubbing the files, and that the release is going to say basically that there were no Republicans involved in this whole travesty of abusing young girls and children. And so I thought about that, and I said, yeah, how much longer will we go on in this conversation around the Epstein files, and how much truth is going to actually hit the street? And then someone reminded me that there are original files. The question is, who has the original files? What are your thoughts about this idea that they're not going to ever really be the true files released?
Well, they definitely, Congress voted overwhelmingly in Trump signing this thing to have them release all the files. But there is a little provision in there that if it's, interfering with an ongoing investigation, then, maybe they'll hold back on some stuff. So I think that's right. I think people would not be paranoid to be suspicious that the whole of the government's tranche is not going to get dumped in the next month or so. I think people are right to be worried about that. So, this could go on. And look, people are still talking about the Kennedy assassination. I mean, I think whenever there's sort of a dramatic event that lends itself to, concern about conspiracies, it goes on for a long time. So I'm not sure we're going to stop talking about Epstein.
Yeah.
I think the only question is whether, Trump can kind of staunch the political damage from it.
I don't think we should stop talking about it, and whether the files come out or what they come out with and all that, I think that we have to, because at the end of the day, as I've been reminded by some people, that this was about the abuse of children, and that's something that we should never stop talking about, because
absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Matt. And no, I'm totally agreeing with you. I mean, absolutely. And look. People may get up and sort of demand the Epstein accountability, and they should. But, you know, the hard work of going after sexual abuse or sex trafficking is something, you know, you got to do day in and day out. And, you know, you got to fund the prosecutors to go after sex traffickers. You got to give states the money to clear all these rape kits that haven't been processed for DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's just a lot to do beyond that on these issues.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking to Matt Cooper, executive editor digital of the Great Washington Monthly magazine. Matt, I got to tell you, the things that you guys cover are phenomenal, and I've always appreciated the depth of the reporting that you do. Got to ask you this question. I mean, you wrote a great piece on why the Democrats won. I know we talked about, you know, Trump's numbers being down, but talk a little bit about what you think is, or some of the points, the bullet points around why the Democrats won so well outside of quote unquote the Beltway.
Yeah, well, I think you know, they had good candidates that kind of met the moment in their places, and that were a good fit for the places they ran. So, you know, they had a strong, you know, former Navy helicopter pilot in Mikey Sherrill, New Jersey, put together a great coalition, and Abigail Spanberger, governor of Virginia, who's a former intelligence analyst, and in New York, Zoran Mondani was, you know, laser focused on the high cost of living in New York. And, you know, I think when Democrats seem focused on cost of living and Republicans seem focused on Donald Trump and his ballroom and other stuff, because they're, you know.
Hey, Matt, if you get an invitation to go to the ballroom, hit me up and let me know so you and I can go in there and take a
You are my plus one.
You're my plus one, and we can go check out the gold.
You're my plus. Yeah, check out all the Home Depot gold lame for the walls and stuff. Yeah, exactly. You know, I think some of the groups that have been kind of swinging towards Trump, you know, we saw especially Hispanics and voters in New Jersey and Virginia, you know, they've kind of been swinging towards Trump the last presidential election, but this time I think because of the affordability, because of these ICE raids, you know, I think they swung back towards Democrats pretty hard. So that's a real warning sign for the Republicans.
Yeah, that is. And I've talked about this a number of times since the day after the election, but Mississippi, you know, and how they performed there. Yeah. I've been saying this for 2 weeks now, Matt, that's something for not only Republicans to take note of, but for Democrats to pay attention to and use as fuel of how to win in other places. And I've got an interview
totally. You got to play everywhere and play hard and have good candidates. You know, you got to have good candidates put up. And I think, you know, like Mississippi Democrats haven't won there in a long time, but it's, you know, the state's 40% African American, and they got the demographics are right for them to actually to win there if they can get a great candidate.
Yeah. I talked with Dr. Dupree, who is one of the senators that won, and we're going to have him on the show next week, I believe. But the conversation that I had with him was really about what you just said, is having the right people. And you use a phrase talking about Mondani in terms of being laser focused. He spoke in that same vein about being just very, very clear on the issues and being, you know, relentless about talking about them on and letting the voters know that they are, you know, to use your phrase, laser focused on getting things done. And it was a real joy to talk to him. But you're right in terms of having the right candidate, and that we can play and win in any environment, any state, if we just get people out, put the right candidates up, motivate voters to get. And he talked a lot about this too, in terms of getting folks registered to vote, and not just that, but out to the polls. So it's not rocket science, Matt. It seems as though it's just some basic, you know, kind of, you know, boilerplate, old school politics.
No, I think it's, you know, 2 yards at a time, 3 yards at a time.
Yeah.
Blocking and tackling.
That's it.
And you got to be out there. Yeah, you got to be out there. And look, I think when you're talking about concrete things to help people, like in New Jersey, like Cheryl, the Democrat, a woman was talking about the governor has the power to kind of freeze utility rates for a while. Yeah, that's a real concrete thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And Mondami's talking about trying to, make the city's, buses free. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but it's at least some concrete. And, as opposed to kind of gauzier ideas of, democracy or DEI, I'm not saying those things aren't important.
Right.
They are, but they're not. You're not hitting people where they live as much. They're a little vague,
and they're easy. They're easy for the opposition to kind of run away from. That, you know what I mean? That's like they can trash talk DEI. They can trash talk. Well, we have a democracy, and that then it doesn't resonate because there's nothing that is like. I like the word you use. It's concrete. It's like, this is how we're going to bring your electric bill down. We're going to do this. This is how we're going to make sure that your gas prices are actually a little bit lower, or whatever the topic is. Being very, very literal and practical, and I love the word again, concrete. I'm going to add that to my repertoire because that's
go with concrete. It's all yours. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I think. Mondami was like going after things like the city fees that were for street food vendors, especially the halal carts that are very popular in New York, chicken or lamb over rice. And the prices of halal had gone way up. And he was like, look, I'm going to cut the fees that the city is charging these food carts, and that should help ease the prices a little. So, I think you got to be specific. You got to be really concrete where people live, and you got to be respectful of people's concerns. And just, not, don't concede. Don't say, oh, those are conservative, that's conservative state, we can't win there. Or those are farmers, we're not going to be able to win that. Trump didn't do that. He didn't say I'm going to send troops in and I'm going to give up on Hispanic votes. He's not giving up on any votes.
Yeah, no, it's true. Got to play in. It goes back to what Howard Dean said years ago about winning in all 50 states, and now's the time for us to be, taking that route. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions as we wrap up. And Matt, it's been great to talk with you. And if you do get that invitation, I will be your +1. I'll pay for my own air ticket, get to DC.
Totally. Go to your tux rental.
I keep one ready to go on for the big events. But I wanted to ask you this question about what you feel, and some of your colleagues at Washington Monthly feel the Democrats can do to protect and save Social Security. You guys put a great piece out regarding that, and one of your colleagues, Paul Glasser, talked about it. What are some of your thoughts there?
Well, Social Security is the most successful program to get a lot of people out of poverty. Basically, a simple idea that everybody who works pays in, and people take out when you need it, and it's basically worked. The problem is demographics. You get a lot of people living longer. Fewer people, fewer workers in the pipeline. So it's the money's not there at the moment. You got to do some things to raise more money. One of the big things you can do is raise the cap on paying into Social Security. Right now, I think you pay in for the first, $150,000 or so, which is what most Americans are going to make less than that a year. But there are a lot of people who are making more too, and their Social Security tax on their income stops at like $150. I forget the exact number. So you can raise that cap. That's going to raise some more money. You can tax benefits a little bit more on the other end and get some of the money back there. You can think about maybe, taxing things other than income, because right now Social Security is funded by, the money people pay from wages, but it doesn't tax things like interest.
Right.
Other ways people make money. So there are things you can do to kind of rejigger this formula, and I think eventually, they're going to do it, but they do need to get it going because we've got a lot of people retiring, living for a long time, and so you got to fix it.
Numbers are going up literally every day in that space, and one of the other things that's been an accelerant.
And by the way, don't send all the immigrants home because they're coming here. They come here young. They're paying in for a long time on the systems, getting taken out of their wages, even if they're not documented.
Yeah,
that's getting subtracted from their wages. That's a lot of money going into the system, and they're not always staying as long to take out of the system. So it's really, picking up people at the Home Depot parking lot is going to affect Grandma's Social Security check.
And a lot of people don't realize that, Matt Cooper. A lot of the folks on the right, or the supporters of this craziness, don't realize that simple little thing is a mathematical nightmare if we go and continue to go in the wrong direction on this. So I appreciate you reminding us of that. Listen, man, having you back on the show will definitely be one of the things that we'll have to do, and we'll figure out a way to do that.
Anything Chicago's great, your show's great. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that, man. And Washington Monthly is such a cool publication. So, Matt Cooper, let folks know how they can find you.
Oh, sure. WashingtonMonthly.com, all one word, and check it out.
Yes, do check it out. Matt, thanks for being with us this morning. Your writing and your work with the publication is just phenomenal, and I look forward to it.
You're very kind. Thank you, man. I hope we talk soon.
We will. Take care. Have a great rest of the week.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye. Yeah, guys, I mean, Matt, the Washington Monthly is one of those publications that, you're going to get all of it. It's not leaning left necessarily. It does just speak to the issues. It's well-researched, and I have been fortunate enough to utilize some of their material in bringing you guys content to the show as best I can. And so, make your way over to their publication and follow Matt Cooper there, because you'll be able to pick up a lot of information that can help you in deciphering what's happening in Washington, and in a bigger conversation, probably just having a better understanding of issues with the. Sometimes when you read certain things, they're overly complicated. They're too nuanced, and you get lost. That's one of the things that I like about Washington Monthly, is that they do kind of they keep it plain, keep it fairly easy for folks to digest. So there you go. I like what he said too, though. Going back to this whole conversation about being laser focused and Mandami. If there's advice to offer to Democrats that are running on any level, that folks that are running here in the state of Illinois for the Senate seat or congressional seats, or folks that are running on a state legislative basis anywhere in the country as we work to take back state legislatures, make it simple, y'all. Make it simple. Really easy, bite-sized, nuggets that you can take in. So any person that's working with any Politico, and I'll do my best when we have folks on the show, and we'll continue to have them on, is to keep it simple, make it plain, and make it about things that are concrete. I mean, we probably overuse the kitchen table, phraseology, if you will, but I understand why it's used and why it has meaning, because it keeps it simple. These are the things that we talk about when we sit around the kitchen table. So hopefully Democrats can remind themselves that the local, concrete, everyday issues became a big part of why we did so well in these, I'll call it midterm elections, or off-year elections. And that, to me, is where we have to go and stay for a while, and that is keeping it simple. Having that, hey, we want to get your light bill down. We want to get your gas bill down. We want to try to find ways to make sure that big companies who are, gobbling up profits versus dispersing that success through the company and better pay, all those sorts of things that I think Democrats, when we re-own those politically, it's going to have a huge social impact when it comes to voting. I think that voters are going to see and understand that if they are registered, going to what Dr. Dupree down in Mississippi said to me the other day, they are registered, then they are going to then see a better reason, or motivation might be a better word, to actually exercise that right that they're registered to do, which is to vote. And like I said, when we were talking with Matt, hopefully we'll probably have that, hopefully we can air that next week. But it's a really great interview with him because he made it clear that the route to success is just talking to everyday regular folks and letting them know that and I guess kind of my phrase that I took from David Jolly, our ideas are better for a larger number of people throughout the entire country. So there you go. Some quick shout outs to people this morning. Thanks to Lois for your commentary. Thanks to 520, which is out in Arizona. And let's see, we got some folks from right here in Chicago on the Marjorie Taylor Greene commentary. And let's see what else. That's a few other people. Cassandra in Oak Park, thank you this morning for, again, reminding us about these politically calculated moves. So, yeah, you guys always want to just try to give a couple quick shout outs. Don't always have the names, and I only use your name if it's in the text. So I don't want to put anybody's business in the street. All right, Henry, let's go ahead and take that break at the top of the hour because we got our man Kurt Mullett coming at us in a little bit. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix, and boom, you're missing a part. But it's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay, and it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports there's word of a new target for the Trump administration's immigration crackdown.
Sources tell AP 250 federal border agents are set to descend on New Orleans in the coming weeks for a 2-month immigration crackdown. Dubbed Swamp Sweep, the operation aims to arrest some 5,000 people across southeast Louisiana and Mississippi. The plan includes agents fanning out across neighborhoods and commercial hubs, with staging sites planned at the FBI field office and a nearby naval base. The deployment's expected to begin in earnest on December 1st. It's the latest in a series of rapid-fire immigration crackdowns unfolding nationwide, from Chicago and Los Angeles to Charlotte, North Carolina. Meanwhile, the mayor of Raleigh, North Carolina, says federal agents have expanded their immigration crackdown in the state to the Raleigh area. I'm Ben Thomas.
The House and Senate both decided to pass a bill to force the Justice Department to release its files on Epstein. In recent days, President Trump bowed to political reality, saying he would sign the bill. At a news conference with victims of Jeffrey Epstein, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says she stood up for transparency and was called a traitor by the president.
I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women. And
only one House member opposed it, Republican Representative Clay Higgins from Louisiana. He said that his concern with the bill was that it, quote, reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, people who provide alibis, family members, etc. Global shares retreated today. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. Poland has retaliated against Russia by diplomatic means following the recent case of railway sabotage. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more.
Poland's foreign minister says he will order the closure of the last Russian consulate still operating in the country after authorities said two Ukrainian citizens working for Moscow are suspected of blowing up a railway line in Poland. Radek Sikorski says he had repeatedly warned Russia that its diplomatic and consular presence would be reduced further if it didn't cease hostile actions against Poland. The closure will leave Russia with only its embassy in Warsaw. On Monday, Prime Minister Donald Tusk told the Polish parliament the two suspects had been collaborating with the Russian secret services for a long time, adding their identities were known but could not be revealed to the public because of an ongoing probe, and that the pair had already left Poland, crossing into Belarus. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the east around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, cloudy skies, a low near 42. Thursday, cloudy, high of 53 degrees. Then on Friday, a slight chance for rain showers here late. Mostly cloudy, high around 53. Saturday, slight chance for rain early, high of 53. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 43.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill. But those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little laugh does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show, 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chew, and we're about to talk to none other than Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Richard. Well, I don't get any, introduction that's going to incite my emotions or
but see,
raise the temperature.
That just did, because by virtue of me saying the way that I did, you were like, "Hey, wait a minute, dude. Where's my where's my plus one?"
Good morning, my friend. Good morning.
Oh man, good to hear your voice. Good to see you. It's really interesting. If you heard me talking with Matt Cooper, he made it really plain, and I think that you've been talking about it like this for a long time. That Democrats just have to make it simple and easy and plain, and put people up that are gonna, they might be our age or they might be half our age, but as long as they're bringing that energy and that fire to the conversation, that's the winning strategy, and making it easy for people to go, yeah, I'm down with her or I'm down with him, and that's what I want to see from who I'm going to be voting for.
Yeah, we've been doing that, okay? Not just me. We've been doing that. So include yourself in that. You've been a big part of it. So, but yeah, he's true. That's what we have to do. And I think I think the proof is in the pudding, because you're seeing what's going on around our country, and with the change of people's thoughts and beliefs behind who this guy is and what's happening. So there's a movement coming around the corner, and we're about to face him head on. So yeah, it's a great thing.
It's exciting,
and this weekend in DC is going to be a turning point, I believe.
Yeah, what's it called? Regime. Oh gosh,
remove the regime.
I just say
what they're doing.
I just had Cliff on yesterday, but yeah, go ahead, talk about that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and I know you did, and he talked about it. But I think that's going to be a huge, people need to pay attention to it. It's going to be one of the biggest demonstrations that this country has seen in a long time. So,
and I like that how as Cliff mentioned, it's going to be not just the external protests necessarily. It's going to be we're going to go into the halls of Congress and let them know we're here, and that right there is that's some ballsy stuff to use a phrase, but it's what's needed. I mean, it's what's needed.
I respect that guy. He needs a little red wagon to carry him around in, don't he?
Man, what he said yesterday. What he said yesterday, which I think was so on point, is that he's frustrated, and he's a little bit more than that with because I asked him the question about the importance of comedy and humor in this striving toward regaining our humanity. And he said, "Yeah, Richard." He said, "I'm frustrated with some of the other folks in the comedic space that don't use their voice because they're worried about losing some of their audience and their followers." And we both kind of agreed wherever you sit, if you've got a voice and you don't use it because you're worried about saying something that's going to cause you to lose some people, you've already lost that fight. Because, what about all the people that would come toward the message if you say it? And that's what I think the Democratic wins this last 2 weeks have been all about. It's been like, you know what? I'm going to say what we got to say now, because if we don't, we're going to lose anyhow. And so I appreciate Cliff for saying it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I back him 100%. So
yeah, good dude. Hey man,
he is.
You guys in Indiana are, I guess they're listening to folks like you and folks like the folks that you've had on, Miss Martz and
Victoria and Blythe and Jackson.
Yeah, because it seems like
Jesse in Indianapolis.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot. Jeez, so see guys, let me just press pause for a second. I know Kurt hates when I do this, but I'm gonna do it anyhow. That's what it means when you have a local effort and you get voices to speak about things that are concerning and important to local politics, whether it be in a city of Chicago, the city of Indianapolis, the state of Illinois, the state of Indiana. What Kurt has been able to do is put together some voices of folks that are running and kind of help coalesce and get them out there in the conversation and their candidacy and their offices that they're running for. Now, we take that kind of ground level politics and we layer on top of that awareness and talking about things, and you then get a state they got the call from the White House that said, hey, we need some seats there and we need you to cook the books when it comes to gerrymandering and redistricting. But other voices said, no, we're probably not going to let that happen. So talk a little bit about that, Kurt, in terms of what's going on in Indiana when it comes to this gerrymandering and redistricting.
Well, the gerrymandering thing is a nationwide topic right now, and it's happening all over the place. And people don't realize that, this is coming straight from the top. This is what, the dude in the White House is asking his state governors to do, and many of them have bent the knee and done exactly that. And what has happened in Texas and what they did in Texas, what California is doing and what other states are doing are a direct result of that. Here in Indiana, when we caught wind of it, it was like no. We have 9 congressional seats, and 7 of them are Republican right now. Okay, we have 2 Democratic seats. One is up in the Gary area, and the other one is in Indianapolis. Okay, and they want those seats. They want total control. Our senators are Republican too, both of them. So when we caught wind of that, immediately we started flooding social media and protest at the State House. There literally was a protest against gerrymandering every single day at the State House. Some small, some big, but there was literally people at the State House every single day. And I think the representatives in the state finally started to listen to the voices that are amassing in the state, and the volume that is being increased by those who are speaking against it. So we had some Republicans that, decided this wasn't the thing to do. And Representative Ray was one of them that Trump's coming down on now, but that's neither here nor there. So, people don't want this. I mean, if you talk to the general public, people want fair elections.
Mm-hmm.
And when they see this kind of thing going on, that, he has talked about elections being rigged and cheating in elections for a long time. He's the one that does it. Okay. The facts are there. And this is just another example of that. So we're fighting it and we put a stop to it. But now they still are going to, Braun is still continuing on this path of trying to get this passed through. And he's going to feel he's slitting his own throat is what he's doing. Okay. He continues to do this. He's
self-inflicted
we've had
wounds.
enough of it. Yeah. So the Republicans, led by Mikey Beckwith, who is our lieutenant governor, who's into AI-generated porn, and Diego Morales, who is
a disaster.
Disaster. So they put, So they put together this little rally. They called it the 9-0 rally, and they held it yesterday at our state house. And it was amazing, the turnout. They had, I think, the official count was 27 people that showed up.
Wow.
That is what they had. Okay.
27 people.
And it was a joke. It was an absolute joke. And so what they tried to do to have a rally to promote gerrymandering actually, I think, exploded in their face because it just showed that there's not enough people in this state, to support it.
Yeah.
Plus, they got to realize this is not a Republican thing, okay? Conservatives and Republicans, generally speaking, okay, they don't know how to protest properly, okay? They don't know how to gather in masses and to peacefully protest. I'm not saying they never do, okay? But it's just not their thing because they have never really needed to because they have always been the one that has been able to control the narrative.
That's such a good point. That is such a, and one of the reasons why that's a good point is it proves that our messaging isn't as bad as we get labeled for. I was talking with some folks, and then I said this on the Politics Bar last night that we have to do what I believe we have to really do, and this is I think something that's come out of the elections recently. Is stop using Republican talking points to determine who we are and how we are. Stop letting those little things sort of slide in. And you've talked about this before. Make our message because their messages stink for us.
Yeah.
So let's stop trying to be Republican light to try to get a few Republicans over to our side. If they're going to come, they're going to come. If they don't, then stay in the desert. Then stay in the desert. And again, back to what you just said about protest. That's just not something that they're particularly good at doing. We are very good at it, whether it's a softer rally or if it's a hardcore protest. We do it a little bit better, and sometimes it's been out of necessity, and I think that's a good thing because people get reawakened to the fact that we got something to do. We got to get some work done. But I wanted to get
we've been protesting for decades.
Yeah, we have. As long as you and I've been alive, there've been protests going on.
So. And even before. But we've been protesting ever since we can remember.
Yeah.
So and why is that? Why is it that liberals have had to protest over and over and over and over again? For just basic human rights and just basic fairness.
That's a question that doesn't get asked enough, and it's actually it's a very simple but good question. Why is it that we're always the one protesting and fighting for stuff? Why is that? I mean, that's like a core. If people were to ask that question and then come up with answers, it might help people understand what we have at risk, and then what we have as an opportunity. If we ask, why are we always protesting? Why are we always going through this sort of PTSD of drama? It's because the other side is trying to hold us down.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm glad to get your take on the gerrymandering in Indiana, a little bit more detail and substance. Trump's numbers And let me get this in real quickly. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chew, and it's Wednesday, y'all. We're talking with the great Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, my Wednesday road dog. Hey, man, talk a little bit about, Trump's numbers being on the decline. And one of the things that I'll read this to you real quickly. Only 36% of Americans say the country is on the right track. That's down 7 points since June. And the other big number is Trump's below in the low 40s in terms of his overall approval rating. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think that's in line with MAGA. Isn't that about the number that they think there's a percent of MAGA in the country?
Yep.
So
it's about right.
I think basically what we're seeing is that almost everybody in this country except MAGA is turning against him and finally realizing that this guy's a train wreck and always has been, and he's out for nothing but himself. And, he doesn't do anything unless there's money involved.
Yeah.
And, and I think this whole thing that's going on right now with the Epstein files and, all the other stuff, but his crypto and all of this is coming to light. I think a lot of people, I know conservatives myself who are not MAGA, who are extremely turned off by him. He's an embarrassment to him. He's destroyed their party. It's going to take a long time for our country to recuperate from what he's done, the devastation that he's inflicted on us. But let me tell you something. The GOP has a long road to go down too.
Yeah.
They're going to have the destruction he has laid into their party is mind-boggling. But that's not my concern. I mean, I hope that they survive because we need bipartisan governing. But hey,
they lost their seat at the table.
They accepted him. They licked the boots, and this is what they're getting. So.
Yeah, they lost their seat at the table there because, there's a conversation to be had for bipartisan because, not everybody's going to agree. This almost sounds pandering, and it's not meant to be. We're not all going to agree on everything, and neither should we. We should be looking for ways to come up with different ideas to solve certain problems. One of the best lessons I learned from my dad early on was to respectfully challenge he and my mother on certain things, and he used to say the phrase to me, "Well, make your case." And so, respectfully, I learned how to disagree with my parents to a point where it strengthened my ability to see other parts of a conversation or an argument. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it or someone agree with me. And I say this oftentimes. You've heard me say this in private, in our private conversations, and certainly on the air. I'm not saying this for someone to agree with me. It's where I stand and what I believe. So
exactly,
we need to have that balance, but right now it's so far out of balance that I was talking with Jody and Sean yesterday, and I said, if Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to get on the bus with us as we're driving down the road and we see her standing in the rain and getting rained on and splashed, she can get on the bus and we can embrace her cautiously. But she's got to sit in the back of the bus and be quiet and learn and change before she gets to move forward in a few seats. And I see that true. I would lay that over for Republicans at large right now. When we get back in power, it ain't going to be about them sitting in the front seats in the bus. We've got to be disciplined enough, Kurt, to tell them, we want you all to be part of this conversation and this discourse, but you got some work to do to be a part of it. What say you?
Well, I have a different analogy with that on your bus thing.
Okay.
Because when I was a junior in high school, I walked into our advanced English class, and the teacher, I walked in the door, and she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Kurt Mullett." And she said, "Oh, I've heard of you. Your seat's right here in front." And my seat was literally 6 inches away from her desk. Ooh. So Marjorie can buy the ticket, but she's going to sit in the front seat right next to me so I could keep an eye on her. Because as soon as she does anything that I don't like, I'm going to stop the bus, open the door, and kick her out.
Kick her back out in the rain.
But that's
all right. No.
It works either way, brother.
See, this is the point.
Works either way.
This is the point we just made. Our goal is to get home. You and I have this. We both have this. Our goal is let's get home. So, our number one responsibility to our spouses and our families is what, Kurt? To get home, right?
to get home.
So if we have to quiet her down in the back of the bus, not literally her, but the ideology, or if she's in the front of the bus and we keep our eye on her, we've done a couple things. We tried to embrace her, to bring her into the fold, but we've made it clear these are the rules. And if you don't play by the rules, guess what? That back door, the back of the bus has a door that we can open and push you out, or the front door if you happen to be sitting up front, because Professor Mullett says you can sit up front, but he's going to kick you behind off the bus too. So either way, get on, be quiet, listen and learn, or we're kicking you off the bus. I like that.
Yeah, either way, she's going to have to ride the bus for a while before,
and quietly take notes, ask questions. How can I help? And I think that that's what I've been trying to say. The vote and so many things that GOP is doing right now, they don't get a medal for it. I mean, they're doing their job. You don't get a medal for that.
Doing the right thing, and we're supposed to praise them.
It's not. It's nonsense.
That's crazy.
Like Eric Grant says on the family meeting, it's bananas. It's just bananas.
With chocolate syrup and nuts sprinkled on it. It's like, what? Really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I know, man. Hey, listen. We've all been for a while just praising and pleased by the unfiltered, unapologetic words of wisdom and legal prowess of Jasmine Crockett, Representative Crockett out of Texas. And that woman brings it every time. Every time she opens her mouth, she has something to say that I think is right for the country right now. And she definitely made it clear to Trump and to the GOP at large that they're losing. The gerrymandering down in Texas, going back to what you said about it's happening all over in Texas, California, and other places, of course, that she's speaking truth. Again, speaking truth to power on so many different levels and so many different categories. It's just amazing the breadth of knowledge that she has and what's the word I want to use? Just understanding of the issues. And I mean, I know it's her job too to be that way, but she keeps delivering. And I'm just constantly amazed and proud of how she just keeps delivering.
Yeah, she had a couple clips this week that were just in the last couple of days. Were amazing. Not only in the message that she was delivering, but just her toughness. And I've constantly admired her from day one. She is the type of representation we need in this country, and she is not afraid. She is, in a different era, she would be looked upon in a different way. That's for sure. She is an amazing woman, educated, intelligent, and they cannot stand her because, let's be honest, because of her gender and the color of her skin. I mean, she's intelligent, she's a female, and she's black. Those are three things that they cannot stand. they don't like.
Yeah, I know.
She's all three of them.
She is. She's inspiring in so many different ways. And you know what she's done. And I think I will be the first person to say this. I think, and if I'm not, who cares? But she has done something that's unique in politics. She's been herself, and when criticized for it, she even becomes more of herself. And in doing that, this is what I think it's done, and this is why it's sort of pierced the veil. People who are younger are attracted to her because many times, you're a father. Young folks struggle with being themselves, being who they are, and just sort of being out there. And I don't mean out in the sense of their sexual identity, but just being able to kind of be goofy or whatever, And so she's made it okay for people that are younger than her chronologically to just be themselves. And that's drawn people to her. On the other side of that, she's made, for folks that are older than her, you and me and many others, chronologically, she's made it okay for us to embrace somebody that we may have, and I'm really, really going into the brain here. There's parts of her that we go, God, I admire her. And when I was that age, I wish I had done. You know what I'm saying? If we're being honest here, she's done that for people that are chronologically older to say, it's okay to think back and say, God, I wish I had said something like that or been like that at that point in my life. Do you know what I mean? Am I making any sense?
Exactly. No, you're making total sense. And you know, I don't ever want to compare anyone to some of the legends that are in our, have been in our fight in the past. But she comes from a place that very few people in this country have come from before that are, you know, of color, and especially a woman. I mean,
yeah,
we have them, but there's been very few of them. And she's just another one. She's making her mark in history, and she's not nearly close to being done.
No,
and I think that's
she is just getting started, literally.
Oh, she is, and I think it's important what you said about the generation thing. I think that's what a lot of us boomers and a lot of us the older generation. Not that we're not doing it, but we need to open our eyes to these younger, the younger generation and the direction that they want to take our party. We have to embrace this and allow them to walk down this path, because the path that we have been walking down has not worked, and we're coming to a dead end, and they're taking us to the edge of a cliff. And we've got a group of young politicians, representatives across our country, many of them right here in Indiana, but across our country that are trying to change it. And I'm 100% behind it. Whether or not I'll see the full flip of all of this in my lifetime, I don't know. But it certainly is something I'm going to fight for.
Listen, man, I think we will.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because I think our longevity is on our side, and that's a blessing to be able to say. But I also think that they're pretty dogged about what they want to see getting done. And this most recent election is a little bit of speaking to that. Sorry about that. The other thing I wanted to say is, before we wrap up, and then what you said a moment ago about the generations. I mean, Jasmine Crockett's 44 years old. She could be, for all intents and purposes, our daughter. I mean, you know,
exactly.
in terms of birth math, she could be our daughter. But I don't say that to be in any way disrespectful to her. But I do look at her sometimes and I go, dang, what she just said. You know, at 44, I mean, I probably said some pretty good stuff, but she really is nailing it. And I go back to, that's where I think a lot of the folks that are over 60, socially and politically, should be looking at and saying, what are they saying that are things that I wish I had said, or, you know, that now that they are saying them, yeah, we should listen to that, and we should draw from their energy, and it can inspire, you know, you to do better. And so she's been nailing it. She definitely has.
I think our generation needs to realize that not only do they have a voice, and they have definitely a strong message that we need to listen to, but when we listen to them and we tell them we are listening to them, they speak louder. Mm-hmm. They feel encouraged, because for so long they have felt like they have been oppressed in our party, mm-hmm. Because of the older generation, and they have. And so when guys like me sit in a Zoom meeting with 30-year-olds, and I applaud them.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people want to, and I just got a text to the space, and I'll speak to this and then we'll wrap up. That younger doesn't mean better. Younger means less experience. Well, that's like saying water's wet. Right. And we know that it means less experience. Our job, and let me tell you this real quickly. This is what Dr. Dupree said when I talked to him the other day out of Mississippi. He said it's our responsibility to help those who have less experience gain that experience because of the wisdom and knowledge that we have. And then when they come together, that's when it's dangerous. That's when things get really good. And we can use all the sports analogies in the world to acknowledge that. Right. The number one that comes to me is when Magic Johnson was drafted by the Lakers, Kareem was still the captain. And he understood, Kareem, the energy that Magic was going to bring to the Lakers, and he embraced it. It took him a minute, but when he did, they were lethal. And Magic understood that Kareem was still Cap, and he had a lot to learn from Kareem. That, to me, is a moment that we can embrace right now politically, is to merge the two energies. And someone that just got elected, for all you naysayers out there, that just got elected, that's in his late 60s, said those very words. It's the combination of the wisdom and the energy of the youth that will help us take over and take back what we've lost. So there you go. Kurt Mullett. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Kurt Mullett, my man, thank you for being with us. As always, I love when Wednesdays show up because I know that it's going to be fun and our listeners benefit from what you've been doing and the hard work that you've been putting in Indiana. So thank you so much for that.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. You know it. You're the man, and I love Wednesdays also now.
All right, man. Be well, Kurt. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you next week. You too. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Let's take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 and WARR from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moretlawoffice.com, spelled M-O-R-E-E. I look forward to speaking with you.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the east around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, cloudy skies, a low near 42. Thursday, cloudy, high of 53 degrees. Then on Friday, a slight chance for rain showers here late. Mostly cloudy, high around 53. Saturday, slight chance for rain early, high of 53. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 45.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks to our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 being with us this morning. As always on Wednesdays, it's great to have Kurt rolling down the track. Some people were like, well, you pick up Marjorie Taylor Greene, but you wouldn't pick up Chuck Schumer. I never said Chuck was off the bus. Lesson learned, people, that this is the thing. You can't please everybody, so you just keep doing what you got to do and keep moving forward. And sometimes you do it in a way when you've had crazy things happen to you. You guys may remember back in the summer, I was fortunate enough to have this voice on the show. Someone that was, as I've used this phrase before, sleeves rolled up, elbows deep, in the center of the cauldron of protest in Los Angeles. You guys may remember we had this wonderful voice with us, self-described as professor, computer scientist, psychologist, expert in the far right on extremism. Who am I talking about? Jen Golbeck. Good morning, Jen, and welcome back to Choose Views on WCPT. How you doing?
Hey, glad to be back. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I really am. I'm doing great. It's good to have you back on the show. And I know that when we talked last time, many of our listeners were blown away by the fact that you had just kind of been on the backside of what had taken place in Los Angeles. And as the phrase goes, you caught a packet. You caught a I don't want to say you caught a bullet. But for those who don't remember, Jen was with us to talk a little bit about that. What's been going on in your world from a, photojournalist standpoint to a psychologist standpoint to talking about extremism and ICE and National Guard since we were on last time?
It's a busy beat to cover, so I'm kind of based between Florida and DC, but I've been out to Chicago to do photojournalism work out at the Broadview ICE facility. was not quite as dramatic as Los Angeles, thankfully, but did have to wear my gas mask the whole time, which was really interesting. I bring all the gear because you want to be prepared.
Right.
But I'm not one of those people who shows up like tacked out and, walked up there. It was like, Sunday afternoon and immediately started coughing. And I coughed the whole time if I had the gas mask off. So and they shoot those pepper balls, which look like paintballs, but they've got like powdered pepper spray in them. That'll do it. But they weren't shooting when I was there. But the whole time, every protester out there, every cop out there was masked up. So there was something continuously in the air, which was really interesting. I think Los Angeles kind of laid this groundwork where we saw these really aggressive tactics by the LAPD, by the sheriffs, and then the National Guard also. And the sense that I got at Broadview is really interesting, I think, in how these protests are evolving. There were maybe 50 protesters. It was not a big thing. And there were probably 300 cops, SRT, fully like geared out RoboCop. And I think the cops, they felt like they were waiting for these protesters to start throwing rocks, throwing bricks, fireworks at them. The protesters are in inflatable costumes. There was one guy, I may be revealing my age. If you remember, like the Eagle Man insurance commercial on like local TV.
Yeah.
There's a dude out there. He's Eagle Man in the head and just like an American flag Speedo. And that's it, right? It was maybe 50. These are the protesters that they're afraid of. And the protesters are in gas masks and, some have helmets on. Always a good idea. Eye protection, head protection.
Yeah.
They were waiting for the police to do something. So it was a really different dynamic than I've seen it, covering protests for a couple years. The protesters are just waiting for the cops to do something violent. And I think the cops are waiting for the protesters, but the protesters don't have a record of it, unlike the police. So it was a really interesting dynamic and kind of a standoff. After curfew, the cops eventually pushed the line back. And if you haven't been at one of these, the cops like form this elbow to elbow line, a couple rows deep, and they chant in unison, move back. And it's all men, right? So it's like this very deep, aggressive thing. They get the protesters block and a half back. And I will give credit to like whoever the cop was in charge out there did not want to escalate things. They, at least that day they weren't shooting. Eventually the cops decide to back up and the protesters just start chanting move back right at them as the cops back away. So it was, it's interesting. I think we're seeing this evolution with the ICE raids, certainly seeing it all around the Chicago suburbs. That people just aren't going to stand for it. And it's not, there are these kinds of semi-organized protests, but it's also, so inspiring, I think, to see these videos of people just ICE shows up on their block and everybody comes out,
People
right?
just came out. You were originally from Crystal Lake, so the Chicagoland area, city and suburbs, and people were just. The whistles was a cool thing, I think, but people were just rolling out of their houses like in pajamas and like it's like a package got dropped off at the curb and they were in their PJs or sweats and they just slipped on some sneakers, ran out of the house, bad hair, maybe some undies on, maybe not, and they're squabbling right down the street, and I was like, man, that's Chicago, that's the Chicago area. And it's been great to see because we've stood up, and I'm proud of our folk here.
I think it's, I grew up, as you said, in Crystal Lake, McHenry County, red. I think it has, become a little more liberal since I left 20 years ago, but a really conservative place. And still, talking to my parents out there are groups that are like monitoring ICE's movement through Crystal Lake, through Woodstock, where like they voted for Trump, right? This is a community, a county that voted for Trump. To see them also reacting to this. So it's a thing where like the very far right, hardcore MAGA forums that I monitor for my research, they don't seem to get this. They're thrilled with everything ICE is doing. And I don't think they understand that there's a real bipartisan reaction to masked thugs coming into their communities and like ripping neighbors out, that like those are Republicans and Democrats coming out of their houses with the whistles and chasing them out of the neighborhoods. I think, like, I don't want this to be the thing that unites us as a country, but I'm glad it is. I'm glad it's the thing bring folks together.
If that's what it takes. Shout out to a good friend of ours, Natalie Ziemba, who is progressive elected woman and city council in Woodstock, and she's been fighting a good fight up in that excuse me, guys, that northern suburb of the city of Chicago, and getting great stuff done. And so one of the things that I will tell you, the McHenry Democratic women have been really fighting hard to make changes. And the reason that that's important and relevant right now to what you said about who's coming out of their houses and their places of living to fight back. And it is, I mean, I'm seeing more and more, or I should say I'm hearing more and more stories about people who, maybe more center-right politically, but they're like, it's not cool to come into a neighborhood and do that. And did you see these numbers of the 600 roughly folks that have been, arrested or detained? Only 16 have a criminal record that they've. Did you see that number? That's crazy.
Yeah, and this is a wild thing, right? And I think this is why there is this coming together on this issue, because for a long time, right, Trump has been pushing this narrative of like all these immigrants are criminals, we're going to get rid of them. And he got a ton of support and votes in the election because people were like, yeah, we want criminal immigrants kicked out of the country, which like we can talk about, right, but is not a crazy position to have. And I think they thought that they really believed that waving those mass deportation signs now, that they were just going to find the, rapists and murderers that were in the country undocumented and ship them out, and they finally, with all these people posting videos, with all these journalists out there, understand that that's not what it is. It's anybody who's here without a green card, and sometimes people who are, that are getting sent home, who have done nothing wrong, who have been here for decades, sometimes since they were kids. Once they really started seeing that, oh, this isn't just like criminal warrants go round them up. It's everybody. It's people that you've known and worked with for a long time. That's enough, right?
Without a doubt. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with the great Jen Golbeck, hanging out this morning here on Choose Views. Jen, it's always great to follow what you're doing, and certainly having you on the show here again. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of, I don't know if pivot's the right word, but certainly throw into our conversation, and in this conversation around ICE and National Guard and all the rest, is the move. And I kind of predicted this a little bit. I said, when the weather changes in Chicago, watch, ICE is going to be less prevalent in the city of Chicago, or certainly in the state of Illinois, because of the weather. And I made it very literal. I said, because the next thing you know, an ICE agent is going to try to grab somebody out of a car, and they're going to slip on the snow or ice and tear an Achilles or blow out a knee, and they're going to be like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And, then these ICE officers who got a check for coming in to do this crazy A work are going to be like, I don't really want to do this because I got injured. Now they're bouncing to other cities, and ironically, whether I was right or wrong in that prediction, they're going to southern cities that still have something in common with Chicago, and that's led by, a black mayor or a mayor of color. And so it just goes to show that this whole conversation was never about finding the criminals. The data backs that up now, but they just bounce to another city where the leadership is of color.
I think it's such a good point, and it really brings home something that I think is like core to understanding Trump and also understanding the MAGA movement, which is, Trump himself, I study his followers, but like Trump himself does not seem to care about very much in terms of issues, except making money for himself, right? He'll switch back and forth. We see that over and over. And his followers will also do that, right? oh, don't release those Epstein files. Yeah, release the Epstein files. They're going to find a narrative to go with whatever he says. But what they do really value are these symbolic shows of strength, these things that make them look powerful. So a bunch of masked guys grabbing people off the street looks powerful to them. And you're exactly right. Slipping on the ice in Chicago, it doesn't make them look powerful. And it doesn't make them look powerful when all these people in their pajamas and sweatpants are rolling out of their houses with whistles yelling at them. But they can bump around right from one city to the next. And, frankly, LA kicked that off. He started with them. They mounted this response. It gave people in Chicago time to be prepared, because I think people in LA were surprised, right, when there was this massive thing. Chicago was more prepared. Now the Carolinas are even more prepared, and they've got this model from what we all did in Chicago, what you all did in Chicago. And
we still claim it home. We know we get. Come on home, girl. We know how it is.
Decades of those winters, man. I deserve that. But yeah, so they've got the models from LA. They've now got the models from Chicago. So ICE rolls in there, and they already have their whistles. They already know these networks have been assembled ahead of time, ready. So ICE is going to keep moving so they can still have those powerful looking moments. But I think we're seeing, now a real collapse of that strategy is one that can bring that power. But they're trying to grab back onto that.
Yeah, without a doubt. And here's the other thing. We've been fortunate enough. It's really been a blessing to have Mayor Johnson on here in Chicago on my show. And he's talked about the fact that he's in contact with Mayor Karen Bass in Los Angeles and Mayor Wu in Boston and other mayors that are Democratic leaders of Democratic cities, if you will. And so I gotta believe, he didn't say these literal words, but common sense does kind of guide this, that they're talking to each other, say, listen, this is what we had to do. This is what works. Shore up your vulnerabilities and all those sorts of things. They have to be talking, and I hope that they are, as well as the governors of those states. So some shout outs to our progressive governors that have done the same thing. And Gavin and JB are right at the top of the list when it comes to saying, no, you got to come through me. And they mean business. They both have stood on business. And I'm just happy to see that that's been the case. And I hope that the mayors and the governors of other states that are blue, that are being attacked by the federal government, have been able to do exactly what you said. And that's take some lessons from the other first cities, if you will. So that's a good reminder, Jen. What else you got going on? I mean, I say that openly because you and I could talk, as we learned the last time, for hours and hours about this stuff, and you've been covering so much, and you've been all over the planet, to keep us informed. But when I ask what else has been going on, what are some of the things that you see that are happening right now that might be signs that some shifting is really taking place, and it's not just how somebody feels in their belly about things, changes taking place?
Yeah. Well, right as I was waiting to come in on this segment, I heard you talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I don't want to repeat too much of what you said, but holy cow, man, not a lady I ever thought I'd be sending some kudos off to, but I think she is a real bellwether for the MAGA movement.
Okay.
Her sort of standing up to Trump on this Epstein files issue and being incredibly public about it, right? Knowing that she was going to lose a whole bunch of that political support, I think really shows that Trump has lost some of his hold over those Republican legislators. And, not that I'm agreeing with much of anything that she stands for, but I think that was impressive. And a note to go with that is that her boyfriend is a reporter in a
right. He's the one that said to Vladimir Zelensky, "Why aren't you wearing a suit?"
That's right. In the White House all the time. I have seen him at, every one of these Trump rallies that I was at covering, journalistically. They're in the Oval Office. And he put a post up on Twitter last weekend, I think Twitter, of him and Marjorie Taylor Greene out for a hike. Just a cute little I love this woman so much romantic post, but that's not what it was, right? That was him going I got Trump on one side, that's my career, and I've got her on the other side, and I'm gonna pick her side. A far right romantic story, and You know,
Are you and I gonna pin that one? I'm sorry, dear. Keep going.
It's, you know, like I think is getting some blowback from that in the White House.
Yeah.
He certainly had to expect that he was going to, and he picked a side, and it wasn't Trump's side. And there's so little of that we have seen in the last 5 years is Republicans picking a side that's not Trump's side. And then certainly with this Epstein filed vote, I mean, so interesting to see how that has evolved, and then to get essentially unanimous votes breezed through both chambers. I think we're seeing Trump lose a little bit of his stranglehold. And I think it ties in with all the stuff that we've been talking about, because there is this sort of bipartisan reaction, from the people against ICE. There's people going like, all this stuff that he's lying about, right? That my groceries are cheaper, that, everything's more affordable. They're starting to be like, I am going to lose a primary. Like, my voters are not going to support me if I keep going along with this, because it's just not holding up. That's really interesting to see. But then to contrast that against the sort of MAGA forums that I look at, hardcore Trump supporters who ignore everything that is not going well right now. And it's this like wild fantasy world of like stories that they're like cherry picking to like make us look strong. Like they're coping really hard right now. So it's interesting to see these cracks kind of forming in MAGA.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that story with regard to Marjorie's boyfriend. Listen, I've been very clear, and in a way that may rub some people wrong, but I understand and appreciate that she's saying what she's saying, which are the right things. But my brain also goes, where you been, girl? And to that end, that's no disrespect in saying it that way. It's just like, okay, great. You said the right things. That's your job. No medals from me, and no medals for the GOP that voted the right way on this Epstein situation, because that's their job. But I also, when I put that, I can separate that and then go, but what does that mean? And I appreciate you enlightening us on what it may mean with regard to MAGA cracking. And that, to me, is what the exciting part about this, is that more and more of those people fall off the wagon. And we have a gentleman that comes on the show. His name is Rich Logis, and he started a group called Leaving MAGA. So I wonder, and I can't wait to talk to him. I think we're talking to him in a week or two, how he sees Marjorie Taylor Greene's latest comments and positions, and has he seen any more folks peeling off that are coming through his organization? It's kind of a bridge from folks who are deeply in MAGA that recognize, whoa, what am I doing here? And he's created this nice space for people to kind of bridge themselves back to sanity. So I can't wait to talk to him about what he's seeing in relationship to MTG and what she's saying. So I don't know. It's an interesting time. Interesting time, Jen Golbeck. Man, oh, man. Go ahead. I know you had something to say.
He's an interesting guy. And, I think that it's important to have this space for like people who we're never going to win over to be progressives, who are like conservatives to their core values, to also see that like, this is a really important moment. And you brought up this point about progressive governors, progressive mayors, like working together. They see the importance of this moment, right? That the country is teetering on this edge where they could fall into authoritarianism, right? That like we could lose a lot of the institutions that support democracy. Pritzker, Newsom are really taking this seriously and thinking about like what power can they exercise to fight back. And I think these little things, right? Like on one hand, in regular American democracy, like no kudos to Republicans for doing their jobs, right? Which is just what they did. But if you put it in the context of like, we are so close to tipping over into this really terrible space, getting them to do just like normal things that they should be doing, like that's great, right? That is a powerful sign to push us back the right way.
I get it. I completely get that. And I literally had a scale on my brain, or a teeter-totter on my brain, I should say, when you were saying that, because the more that they come to our side for whatever their motivation is, And this is the tough part. We want to be embracing, and I use the phrase, they got to sit at the back of the bus and be quiet. And my good friend Kurt Mullett says, no, they sit up front so we can keep our eyes on them. Either way, if we get them on the bus and they can help us move this down the road, then it's a win for all of us. It's a win for the country. It's a win for democracy. And so that's where I do back away from my own vitriol about it because of the frustration of what they represented that got us here in the first place. So I hear you, and I appreciate that kind of breaking it down that way. Jen Golbeck, put it on your calendar because we're not going to go for 3 or 4 months again before we have you back on the show. That's just insane. You got way too much to say.
Anytime. I love being on here with you.
Awesome. Well, listen, how can folks find you real quick before we wrap up today?
Jen Golbeck at Twitter. And if you want me to follow the far right for you, so you don't have to, it's MAGAReport.news. That's my Substack, once or twice a week.
It's pretty good, guys. You got to check it out. It's like I've snorted it a couple times with some of the things that she's written because of the on-point humor. But there you go. Jen, thanks for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it. Stay safe and have a great rest of the week, okay?
Thanks. Nice to join you.
You too. All right. Bye-bye. Guys, listen, as always, it's good to roll with everyone. And thanks for, I got a ton of text messages that I probably not going to be able to get to. But I appreciate you guys, and I'll try to, I'll respond to them when I can. But thanks to everybody for being with us. Jen's great. And like I said, she's got a lot to say, and clearly she understands the issues, unique perspective. And again, she's a Midwesterner, originally from the Chicagoland area, Chicago suburbs. So we got to be proud about that. And we give our shout outs to our people who are doing the work that she's doing. Thanks to Kurt Mullett for hanging with us this morning. As always, it was great to have him be able to spend some time. Matt Kuber, Washington Monthly. Check him out. Talk about a good read. You definitely want to make your way over there. Tomorrow's show, we will be busy once again, as always. We look forward to you guys hanging with us on tomorrow's broadcast. We will have Dr. Al-Said with us briefly in the morning. Then we'll be talking with Reverend Black and Michelle Duster, Oklahoma State Representative and candidate for governor, Cindy Munson, and then Rick Smith from The Rick Smith Show. So we will be busy. I will be coffeeed up and ready to go. And my man Henry will keep us on the rails. But for now, guys, stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And remember, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Did you know that there are only 49 states in America that require you to have car insurance? At Chicago's Progressive Talk, we're in Illinois, and Illinois is one of the 49 states that require you to have car insurance. Let's look at some car insurance companies that support the Democratic Party. American Family Insurance. American Family Insurance was once very conservative, but since 2019, they have moved to the left, donating $214,000 to Democrats in 2024. AAA was also once very conservative, but in 2014, they shifted to the left, donating $235,000 to Democrats in 2024. 83% of their donations went to Democrats. Liberty Mutual. Now, Liberty Mutual leans to the left, and yes, they did donate $1.6 million to Democrats in 2024. That was only 64% of their donations. Progressive Insurance. Progressive does not give to politics, but some of their senior leaders do, and their senior leaders lean left. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Still struggling with gas, bloat, constipation, nausea, or diarrhea? Have you tried eliminating foods but felt no change? It's time to call the tummy whisperer, Renee Barish, at Digestive Health Solutions. Renee uses targeted testing to reveal exactly what's happening in your gut. Gut bacteria plays a key role in all your body functions, from cardiovascular regulation to brain function. When the gut is imbalanced, you may experience symptoms that extend beyond the gut, such as anxiety, skin issues, poor sleep, or increased risk for disease. Digestive Health Solution uses advanced testing to identify harmful microbes and evaluate the overall balance of the gut ecosystem. Get insights into your health, digestion, and how your microbiome affects all aspects of your body. Stop suffering. Call Renee now at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That number is 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better. The Tummy Whisperer.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.